All right, we have, in my opinion, some very unfortunate but not entirely unforeseen news to report on the latest Amazon union election, which is that the second election, this one also on Staten Island at a sorting facility across the street from the original victorious union election, has gone down to defeat. Let's go ahead and put the vote tally. Ultimately, not all that close. You had 380 voting in favor of the union. You had 618 voting against. This was a smaller facility, and let's go ahead and put Chris Smalls, of course, interim president of Amazon Labor Union statement up on the screen. He says, despite today's outcome, I'm proud of the worker organizers of LDJ5. They had a tougher challenge after our victory at JFK 8. Our leads should be extremely proud to have given their coworkers a right to join a union. Amazon Labor will continue to organize, and so should all of you. He goes on to say, nothing changes. We organize. Don't be discouraged or sad. So I think I'd love to talk to Christian about what he thinks happened here and why the outcome was ultimately different. But some of the indications we had early was, first of all, Chris and Derek Palmer, they were in the other warehouse. So their deeper relationships,
they had better relationships,
were likely in that warehouse. So that just makes sense in and of itself. The second piece is that this is a facility with a lot of part-time workers, and that's just a very different and much more difficult challenge, frankly, in terms of organizing. And then the third factor, I think, is that, Amazon did, I think they probably underestimated Chris, like many people did, going into the first union election. They would not make that mistake again. They stepped up their union busting efforts. Something we shared with you yesterday, which is just indicative of the kind of games that they play. Go ahead and put this tweet up on the screen. Is that the day after the union election? Oh, this says the lawyer for Amazon Labor is planning on challenging. I wouldn't expect it to change the result of the election. But then again, you had Bessemer's overturn and a redo, so you just never know. So we'll put that in there. Put the next one up on the screen, though, which is that Amazon waited until the day after the election to announce that they're not going to pay workers who are out sick with COVID, or even inform workers when someone at their warehouse tests positive for COVID. This comes out after the voting already happened. So just indicative of the type of games that they ultimately play here. What I would say is just a reminder, if you are a union supporter as I am, that with Starbucks early on, first of all, the votes were much closer. They suffered a couple of early defeats before going on to a nationwide wave. The deck is still stacked, and the game is still rigged in a lot of ways when it comes to union elections. There will be setbacks, but this in no way changes the direction and the energy and the historic nature of what Chris Smalls and his coworkers and allies there have already accomplished on Staten Island.
Yeah, no, it's very extraordinary, obviously, but this was frankly a pretty expected outcome. That's basically what we said. It's of course the COVID news there from Amazon is absolutely hilarious. Luckily, we do have some footage from Jordan Sheridan when he was there at the time ahead of the organizing. Just want to give you guys, exclusive look always at some of the footage that we have. Let's take a listen.
By the whole world seeing what we're doing, they will be inspired by the efforts that we're putting in that will make them want to unionize across the globe. Anywhere, any Amazon facility from different states or any working place around the world, knowing that this is the time, this is the generation where you could have your voice could be heard. Back in the days, it wasn't like that. As years of other people fighting for the struggle, fighting to unionize, make a working class world for employees a better place. So this is the time they could see this moment, and it's very important, it's very significant.
So we just got the news that the vote came in. Just tell me how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I feel the weight of the loss for the organizers who have risked their jobs, who have risked their livelihoods, right, for their families, and so much, sometimes arrest even, to work so hard to organize this warehouse. And I also am not entirely surprised because, if you remember Starbucks unionization efforts, they lost their second vote too. I think that happens a lot of times because after that first victory, they really clamped down, right? And the union busting escalated. It's a smaller warehouse, so they were able to more effectively target the workers and promote, misinformation and negative narratives about the organizers themselves. And I think that that's what's the saddest, is that they've tried to weaponize, the normal humanity of the other organizers to say, oh, these people aren't perfect and therefore you shouldn't support them. So I think everyone's feeling it. But what I know about these workers is that they've taken L's before and they just keep fighting.
So that was from Jordan's cameraman who
Yeah.
was there on the ground as the decision was ultimately coming down. And listen, I think the big question is what happens now? So do we see, is this like kind of, one and done, it's an outlier, that's what the Amazon corporate folks are definitely hoping? Or is it like Starbucks where this got the ball rolling and now Christian has already told us that hundreds of workers from over 100 different facilities across the country have reached out to him about organizing. Now do you have that Starbucks-esque wildfire-like spread? And ultimately only time will tell.
We'll see.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.